Check out Lance's deal of the day at 700WLW.com all week long. Great deals in golf. Get 2 9-hole certificates to Beach Creek Golf Course for only $14.50, including cart. All you have to do is go to 700WLW.com for Lance's deal of the day. It's Doc Thompson on 700WLW. Former governor of Minnesota, Jessie Ventura, joins me. Hello, sir.
Hi, how you doing today?
Doing fine. You got a book you're promoting, the 63 secret documents, or the documents that the government doesn't want you to read.
Well, actually, they're not secret because everything's in the public domain. You simply have to go out and find them because certainly they're buried pretty deep, and naturally mainstream media isn't going to bring them to light.
Give me a couple. We can't go through all 63. Give me a couple of them. Give me the types of things you're talking about.
Well, going through our history, like the CIA's Guide to Assassination. Now, assassination is just a fancy way of saying first-degree murder, and our government has a guide of how to do it and all that stuff within the CIA. The military's experiments on its own soldiers, fake terrorist attacks planned by the U.S., and documents of that order, like back in the late 40s, we went down to Nicaragua and we infected hundreds of people with syphilis just so we could test out penicillin.
We had Tuskegee Airmen, all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, and let me state this, for the most part, we have some terrific government employees. They're loyal, they're dedicated and all that, but we certainly have an element of our government that is extremely evil. And what doing this book brought to me, and it really affected me, was the fact that some of this stuff you could substitute the word Nazi and it would work.
Yes, but we're not talking the average government employee. I mean, most of these people, they get orders. It seems all very up and up. We're going to have a policy change. You do this. What we're talking about is a handful of people who pull the strings.
Apparently so, and it goes on and on and on. And the other thing is this: it's astounding. Last year alone, the government declared 16 million documents top secret. Well, I would tend to believe that's every document coming out of the government. And I, as a taxpayer, and you, as a taxpayer, we have every right to know what our government's doing with our tax money, because all this stuff, this crazy stuff they do, is funded by our money.
Now, you understand, as a Navy SEAL, as a governor, there are going to be some things that the public really shouldn't know about. I mean, at least in the short term.
Yeah, in the short term, fine. Yes, absolutely, I understand that. You don't want to jeopardize anybody out there that's operational, whether it's military or CIA or whatever it might be. But in the long term, they should all be made public, and certainly these documents, like the title says, it's the documents the government doesn't want you to see.
I think transparency is the key. That's something we've lost, being honest and open and letting the public know what's going on, whether it's the Federal Reserve or all this other stuff. Now, do you transfer your beliefs on that we need a smaller government when it comes to other things?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very much fiscally conservative, but I'm socially liberal. That's why I can't fit into the two parties, and I'm an independent.
It's funny, though. What is your view on welfare? I know you had some welfare reform when you were the governor.
My view on welfare is this. People always bring up social welfare, which, of course, is the welfare for poor people. I'll tell you this, and I've seen the charts. Corporate welfare is 100 times more than social welfare. Look at the latest thing that came out on GE. Mm-hmm. Here's a company that makes $14 billion of profit and pays zero in taxes.
Now, what do you consider corporate welfare? What do you just not paying your taxes?
Your classic corporate welfare is pro stadiums, where they take public money and build football stadiums and baseball stadiums.
We've got that issue here.
It can be done with private sector money. All you have to do is do seat licensing, where you own your seats. It's like joining the private golf club. You buy your tickets, you put your money down, and then your yearly seats are like your membership at a golf club. Instead, they go to the public trough and they take tax dollars, our tax dollars, and build things for private industry. Again, that's a real one that everyone can grasp clearly. The other is just all the sweet deals. See, you have to remember that the Democrats and Republicans are owned by the corporations. If you go to their conventions, the same corporate lobbyists are there paying off both sides, so it doesn't matter who wins.
So what's your take on this, the issue of the public government worker unions? We're battling that right now in Ohio. We have Senate Bill 5 that would basically get rid of collective bargaining.
Well, I'm outraged. Here you got the government, and especially these Republican governors, are blaming the unions for the financial problems, yet all of these Wall Street bozos are walking free and not one of them's going to jail after the debacle on Wall Street. That's what caused the deficits. It isn't the union workers out there asking for $1 more an hour. And to me, it's a systematic attack on the middle class, because if you destroy the unions, there goes the middle class, and I believe that's what they got in mind. They want to turn the United States into like every other country, or many other countries, where all you have is rich and poor.
See, but most people in the middle class right now aren't members of unions.
Well, they ought to be.
No, but you said it would destroy the middle class. You got rid of the unions, but most middle class, it's a very small percentage that are union members.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm a vested member in 2 unions.
Yeah, I think it's like 12 or 14% nationwide, something like that.
Well,
yeah, it's relatively low.
Wait and see what happens when all the unions get destroyed.
See, there seems...
And watch how terrific working conditions will be then when you don't... the only thing a worker has for power is collective bargaining, pretty much.
No, they have their vote, too. You put people in for who you want in office, laws, your representation.
It don't matter. With the Democrats and Republicans, trust me, it's a two-party dictatorship. It does not matter. I'll give you an example. We've had Republican and Democratic governors through the last 35 years, yet every U.S. Treasury Secretary comes out of Goldman Sachs. It don't matter if there's a Republican or Democrat.
See, there seems to be a lack of consistency, and I agree with you on the fiscal conservative part, and I agree with you that corporations should be paying their fair share. First of all, I don't believe there should be corporate taxes. I think everyone can pay it. You can pass that on to whoever owns the company. But as long as we have them, yeah, these people like GE, these corporations are getting away without paying it. We shouldn't be subsidizing them. We shouldn't be subsidizing farmers and propping anybody up like that. But the same is true when it comes to government workers. They should be paying their fair share when it comes to their retirement. I think they should be put in the same system that everybody else is. Would you agree that they should be in Social Security?
Sure, that's a great idea, and then you could follow that up too. Everyone's calling it Obamacare and government-run health care, and all these people that are opposed. See, I believe in the United States that health care is a human rights issue. Everybody should be able to go to the doctor if they're sick.
Everybody can go to the doctor.
Yeah, you can go to the emergency room, and it'll cost 3 times the money, 10 times the money. Sure.
No, you can go
why not just be,
if you have the money.
The point is, all these people in Washington, congressmen and senators that want to revoke the national health care, excuse me, what do they have? The Congress and the Senate has government-run health care, so they got it, but they don't want you to have it.
No, I agree. Listen, they ought to be paying their fair share. It shouldn't be different. It should be the same across the board. My problem is, though, if you say it is a human right, Jesse, where do you draw the line? Who decides what operations are truly needed?
A doctor instead of an insurance company.
But see, it's not a doctor. It's a government panel of doctors.
Wait a minute. I have insurance, and I had a bone spur on my foot. I went to the doctor, and the specialist said, we can't solve anything till we remove the spur, so we used ultrasound to do it. It cost $800. I turned it into my insurance company, and they denied me. They said I should have done these 7 other things first. So you've got insurance companies dictating health care instead of doctors in the current system.
But you don't have to have that insurance. You could have paid yourself. You could make the call the shots yourself.
I did pay it myself because they refused to pay it.
Right, but I'm saying you don't have to pay into it.
Because it'll cost you more to go to court. And that's how they get it. The insurance companies get away with it.
No, but the point is you don't have to buy health insurance. You could just pay yourself.
Sure. Well, look at it this way. I guess we shouldn't have government-run health care. The veterans have had it since World War I.
Well, that's
How come they get it, or are they getting screwed over again, too?
No, I think that is something that a decision we made, that if you were in the service long enough or you have been involved in certain wars or conflicts, that we provide health for you. That's something we decided.
That's government-run health care, isn't it?
Well, no, actually, it's military.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. it's government-run health care.
So
it's good enough for a veteran, but it's not good enough for anyone else.
I would be fine with saying we will take care of their health care costs and not have the government run it. So I'm not saying I like the idea of the government running the VA health system. I think it's good that we provide that service for them.
One thing. Remember this. When you privatize certain things and take it away from the government and turn it over to private corporations, it then becomes a for-profit business.
Why is profit bad?
Wait a minute. We're doing that with prisons now.
Why is profit bad?
What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with a profit?
Because they'll make profit, so therefore you got to have a lot of prisoners to make profit.
Are you making profits off of your books? Did you make a profit? Did you make an income?
Certainly.
Did you make it? So what's wrong with profit and making money?
Nothing's wrong with it, but some things need to be done by government for the common domain.
Things like the military. I'm okay with that.
Wait a minute. We're going to privatize all our roads? So you got a toll every 50 feet?
Have you looked at the numbers?
Hey, answer my question. Should we privatize all our roads so that you pay a toll every 50 feet you drive?
I believe there are some things, as I've always stated, that the government does do, but we should do as many as possible in the private sector. When it comes to the roads, no, I'm not in favor of them doing the roads, privatizing the roads.
Really?
However,
why not? Let the private sector build the roads.
Well,
let
because
the private sector do it all, and that way they can put tolls on every road. Every time it changes ownership, you can have a toll there.
My
That's
problem is
private sector running roads.
It's not really practical to have people stop all the time. It's a practical
Exactly.
issue. But when it comes to health care, do you understand the national health care programs around the world are failures? In fact, one of the directors of the national health system in England just died because he was on the waiting list and couldn't get health care, couldn't get the operation.
Okay. Well, if we could pay for health care easily if we weren't involved in these idiotic wars that they've put us into.
Well,
we could pay for all the health care we needed here if we weren't fighting Iraq, which was based on lies. And all the
I'm not disputing that. You're absolutely right. I think we shouldn't be involved in those things, shouldn't be involved in Libya, all of it. I still want the money back. I don't want to pay for somebody else's health care. They can do it.
Yeah, well, okay.
Well, I appreciate it,
I'm a little more compassionate than you, I guess.
No, that has nothing to do with compassion. And that,
sure it does.
No. In fact, Governor, you know what? I thought we had a good debate here, but when you and people that believe that we need national health care pull out the word like compassion, it's pretty insulting for people like me who give of their time and their money, but they simply want to have control over who gets that money. That's offensive to say it's compassion. And when it's the government doing it, no, Jesse, when the government doesn't it, I don't have control over it. I want to give it to my neighbor, somebody that I know is truly in need, instead of somebody sitting in Walla Walla, Washington, not working, and they could be, but they're sitting there eating a bunch of fatty food, watching TV, and I can't even afford cable.
Okay.
No, don't give me that. You're the one who brought up the compassionate part, and that's insulting.
Are you interviewing me, or am I interviewing you?
No, it's insulting, Jesse, to say you're more compassionate. If you want to believe that, if your arrogance has you believing that, fine. But it's insulting.
Well, take it as you see it.
All right,
anyway,
and I just did.
My book is all about that. 16 million documents a year get declared top secret.
All right, I appreciate you joining me, though, and I do have a link to it at my blog, 700WLW.com.
Well, I got my own now, too. It's called weaintgottimetoBleed.com.
Good deal. And like I said, I have a link to all that stuff. Thank you, Governor. Okay. Appreciate it.
All right, very good. Bye-bye.
Doc Thompson, 700WL. Doc Thompson on the big one, 700WLW. It's very respectful of Jesse. I agree with some of the stuff. Some of the stuff I think he's wrong about. But don't come at me with that you're more compassionate garbage. I'm not going to let you get away with something like that. He was taking a shot. He was being insulting. I'll let Jesse get his message out. Some of the stuff he's nutty on. Get to a couple of quick calls here. Tom on a cell phone. You're on 700 WLW.
Boy, you really beat the hell out of Jesse.
Well, I did at the end there. I mean, I thought we were done. All right, Jesse, very good. I guess I'm just more compassionate than you.
No, good job. Hey, I do agree with one thing he said.
What's that?
The profit mode of insurance. Insurance companies own everything. They initially started out as not-for-profit. And they need to be strong financially to pay claims, but overall, I'll bet you they're just, I don't know what to say other than there's got to be a better way. We got to take some of the, personally I pay $700 a month.
Oh, you're right, Tom. Now,
yeah.
Let me lay this out. I'm running out of time. I appreciate the call, and I'll get to a couple more in a minute. The problem is, no, it's not that they are for profit. That's just the argument of people like Jessie who are crazy. We all are for profit. We all want nice things. That's not the issue. The issue is the rules surrounding them that make it more difficult for them to make a profit and for you and I or anybody else to start another insurance company to compete. If it were opened up truly to competition, you and I would come along and say, wow, those healthcare costs are too high. I will come up with another way to do it. We've seen that already. There was a doctor in New York who wanted to simply charge one flat fee. Unlimited healthcare. You come to him as much as you want for like $75 a month or whatever it was. He was unable to do that. It was illegal based on the laws of New York. He didn't want to mess around with any insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, anything like that. It was illegal. Why? The problem is not that they are for profit. It's that we do not have true competition. And number two, that a lot of people look at healthcare as a maintenance plan. You know, you buy a VCR and they say, oh, you want the maintenance plan? It costs you another $400 or whatever. Instead of looking at it as just catastrophic coverage. You want a maintenance plan? Fine. But that's not insurance. Insurance was supposed to be if the worst thing happens, you're not going to have to pay $5 million simply because you got in a car accident or cancer or something like that. More of your calls coming up on the home of the Reds, 700 WL. Doc Thompson on the big one, 700 WLW. Bob St. Bernard, you're on the air, sir.
Yeah, I think, Jessie Ventura, he was pretty much right and on the button with just about everything. Until the end there, I didn't like that part what he put out about the compassion.
Well, that's the problem, Bob. That's the problem. People that believe that we need to spend more and more money taking from people that are rich and evil and giving it to other people think they are somehow being more compassionate, or they are simply using that to spin for their argument. They're simply using that. Well, I guess I'm more compassionate. Not more compassionate. Look at the studies. Conservatives give far more to charity. Does that mean they're more compassionate? No, it's a different ideology. Some people believe the government ought to do it. That way they can walk down the street and absolve themselves of any guilt because they have saying, well, I vote the right way so those people can get help. They don't want to be on the front line. Religious organizations, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, clergy, all different faiths. The left, the progressives, the people who have blasted anybody on the right whenever they bring up morality and religion, blasted them, is using the same tactic. Pulling out religious leaders from different faiths, making it a moral issue. Well, I ask you, how moral is it to take from somebody else? Do you think theft is moral? No, I'm not getting in the philosophical debate about if your children are truly starving. You are truly starving. You're lying in the street, not having eaten in weeks. So you steal a little corner of a piece of bread just to sustain your life for a few extra hours. Yeah, I think a lot of us would say, well, I don't like to justify it, but I can understand it. We're not talking about that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about theft. Saying that somebody else has too much money. Somebody else has too much and I want it. It's legal theft. I think in some areas, illegal theft. Certainly not moral. So to come at me from a moral angle, it's about morality in America when it is almost impossible to starve. You've got panhandlers out on the street that can make $20, $40, $60, $80 an hour simply because they don't want to work? No, we don't have a moral crisis in America by cutting the government or wanting to bring government into line and certainly bring government employees into line. The moral crisis is from the people who believe that theft is acceptable. Coming up after the break, 9:33, we're going to talk a little bit of Reds, good weekend, and also Reds Uncut on 700 WL. Today at 12:33, Willie talks to a former CIA spy. on 700 WLW. Quick call, then I'm going to get to Mo Egger. Bill in Reading, you're on 700 WLW.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Doing well, sir.
Hey, you made a point. Stealing's bad. I just want to remind everybody that the governor of Ohio, when he used to head up Lehman Brothers, stole $500 million from the public workers pool, and that's probably half the reason he's making it up. And also...
Stole? Wait, hang on. Stole. Define stole in that
Lehman
case.
Brothers... they invested in Lehman Brothers. They lost $500 million.
So because it was a bad investment, they stole it.
Well, you can call it whatever you want. We have to make up for it.
No, Bill, that's a bad investment. There's a difference between that and saying we're going to take from somebody else in order to give to somebody else.
Well, that's your opinion, but they took our money, and I call it stealing, and I'm sure a lot of these other people up there fighting in Columbus call it stealing as well. And also...
No, wait. They invested it. They may have invested it poorly, but they didn't steal it.
Well, it's gone.
Okay, so you see anything that's gone is stolen then?
Well, how else do you put it? He took our money. You can say a bad investment. We can use every excuse.
No, that's not an excuse, Bill. You're saying it's gone, therefore it is stolen.
Well, technically, you could use every excuse to say that they stole this and they stole that. We could just turn that around and say it was a bad investment.
Okay.
That's what you're telling me, right?
No, I'm saying they made a bad investment if it's gone.
Well, you just said it again. You're telling me they made a bad investment, but the bottom line, the money's gone. Executive pay, okay, is up 27%. They beat every union down, okay? It started 30 years ago with the air traffic controllers. Now, did you watch your news this morning and see Southwest Airlines? They got holes in airplanes. They probably outsourced all their techs.
No, wait,
now they got
hold on.
making $10
Hold on a second, Bill. Hold on a second.
And say it looks good to me and put it up in the air.
Wait a second, Bill. Because there are holes, you're saying they probably outsourced it? Do you have anything to back that up?
Well,
that they outsourced
let's wait and see, but something bad wrong with the airline.
No, Bill, no.
Well,
I want factual information here. Don't give me that. I want factual information.
Okay.
You went off and said probably. I'm asking if you have anything to back that up, and then you want to gloss over that.
Yes, I do have something to back that up. About 2 weeks ago, you got guys falling asleep in airports watching the towers. The first union they busted was the air traffic
You,
controllers.
Bill, hold on. You keep wanting to spin the argument.
Well, that's what you guys do.
No, Bill.
Hold on a minute. I'm just giving you a run for your money, Doc.
Bill, I want to stay on topic here. You brought up the airlines, the Southwest airline, that end up with holes in the roof coming off, and you said it's probably because they outsourced. I asked you to back it up, and then you went off and saying, well, the air traffic controller union, the air traffic controllers don't build the planes, Bill. I don't know if you know that.
No, they run the towers. Now they got one guy in the tower falling asleep.
And there you go.
To land a plane.
And there
you
go.
And
you keep spinning off into something else. Appreciate the call.
I'm radio host.
No, I'm going to go ahead and let you go because you don't want to stay on topic. We were talking about one issue. I asked you if you could back it up. You weren't man enough to say you can't back it up and just move on. That's all I wanted. You admit you can't back it up. We'll move on. I'll let you make your other points. But you keep wanting to spin and insult, and we're not going to do that here. Mo Egger joins me now. Mo, what do you think of Reds Uncut last night?
I thought it was really well done. You know what made the event more than anything, though?
That I was there with you, sharing it?
That you were there with me. But I think the fact that they won yesterday, they went 3-0. I mean, imagine that event if they lose on opening day, lose on Saturday, and lose yesterday afternoon. It still would have been good. I don't know that it would have been as good as it was last night, but it was really, really good. I think for an event that a lot of people really didn't kind of know what it was even hard to explain to people, what I was going to. But it was really well done, very, very funny, very, very entertaining. And I think the thing that made it, other than the fact that the Reds won 3 games heading into the event, was the fact that the players were pretty enthusiastic about it, had a lot of fun with it, and I think the crowd really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the players were into it. I think you're right. There was a lot of good feelings around because they're 3-0, and the fans were into it because it was just a great weekend of baseball, so everybody was into it. But I think the event was pretty neat, though, just to see the players, interact with each other, not in, the baseball setting, but some of the skits they did, and Bronson Arroyo singing, who was very good, by the way.
Yeah, Bronson put the guitar down. He let a 17-year-old kid play it, sang a song by Oasis, did a great job. But I think you're right to get those players out of kind of the ballpark element, let them be themselves, give each other a hard time. People eat that up, and I thought Dusty Baker comedically was the highlight of the night. I thought it was outstanding, really, really funny.
Oh, he was fun when he introduced all the players and then told a little bit about them and was giving them the business and joking around. And I think that's what fans want to see is them joking around with each other like they did in the game show type skits.
Yeah, and I think you got a glimpse into why these guys are so good. It was said often last year as they stormed to the division title that these guys had such great chemistry, and that was evident on stage last night during that 2-hour show. You could tell these guys really like each other. You could tell these guys really support each other. You could tell these guys have a good time joking about and with each other. And if you went last night, you got a chance to see that. I would encourage the next time the Reds do this event, whether it's next year or the year after that, go check it out. I think by then they'll have, we have a little bit better idea of what exactly it is since they've had one. It was really enjoyable, and it kind of capped off a great weekend of baseball in Cincinnati.
So the fun that they were having on stage, do you think that's one of the keys to the success they've had is that they do have fun, they enjoy what they do, they enjoy each other? Do you think that's part of it?
I don't think there's any question about it. When you watch these guys, whether it's, this was a team that last year won so many games late in their last at-bat or come from behind wins. And no matter who the hero was, you saw these guys were just thrilled for whoever came through with the big hit. You could see it togetherness with this team all season long. When guys were struggling, nobody got their head down because these guys picked each other up. And I think that's indicative of the chemistry that these guys have. I think you've seen it here in the first 3 games of the season, and I think you certainly saw it last night.
Well, I heard you with Jim Scott this morning. You touched on something about the 3 wins over the weekend, that there were a lot of different elements going into the win. It wasn't all long ball. They played defense. It was good pitching all the way across the board. They were well-rounded and doing well.
In a 3-game series, 3 different types of wins, you could point to almost everybody who stepped on the field that did something. The catchers are combined 9 for 12.
Wow.
Votto hits a homer on opening day. Hannigan, 2 yesterday. Paul Janisch had a couple of hits. Heisey comes off the bench and gets a hit. Drew Stubbs, a homer and a big hit on Saturday night. Scott Rowland, a 2-run shot on Saturday night. Travis Wood was outstanding. Bronson Arroyo was really gutsy yesterday. And the bullpen on Thursday afternoon at least kept them in it and finished off the job both on Saturday night and in yesterday's blowout. Nearly everybody contributed. Gomes hit a homer yesterday. Brandon Phillips, a 3-run shot. And I think it's what makes this team special. There are stars on this team. Obviously, Joey Votto is one of them. Brandon Phillips is a Gold Glover and an All-Star. But I think the thing that makes these guys special, and it was last year, has been the case so far this season, if you look up and down the roster, you can't find anybody who hasn't at some point contributed. Usually you say that about a team across 162 games. You could say that about this team across the first 3. I would be remiss, Doc, if we didn't mention last night and what that event benefited, because the Reds Community Fund, for those who don't know, I say it often on my show, it is my favorite Cincinnati area tri-state organization. The work they do for kids and bringing baseball to kids who otherwise couldn't play it is certainly admirable. And that event last night went towards the people who do that work. And I can't think of a better outfit in Cincinnati than the Reds Community Fund.
Yeah, it was neat to see everybody giving up their time, all the players and that. One thing, I was at the game Saturday night. And I think the Jay Bruce catch in foul territory against the wall and then followed up by the double play to get out of the inning was spectacular. That was just a great time.
These guys bring the leather. It's the one thing. They don't give you extra outs. It was the one thing when I think back to the playoffs last year that stood out to me, because unlike the regular season, they fell apart defensively. If they don't do that this year, late in the year, they're going to be okay. But yeah, these guys, whether it's the defense up the middle with Janisch or Renteria and Phillips, they're solid at the corners and the infield. Joey Votto will win a Gold Glove at first base one day. And two of the three outfielders are either good to excellent defensively, and neither guy behind the plate will kill him defensively as well. It's the one thing that these guys do well. Hitting, Dusty Baker says all the time, hitting, you have hitting slumps. You have pitchers who have bad outings, but good defense never takes should never slump, should never take a break. And You saw it over the weekend. These guys didn't give away any extra outs. And the other thing that stood out is they only walked 3 guys unintentionally over the weekend against a good offensive team.
It's very exciting to see statistically they're on pace to win 162 games. That's very powerful.
And that would be a record, and I think would get them home field in the National League playoffs.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, they may have a chance with it there. All right, Mo Egger, I appreciate you joining me, sir.
All right, Doc. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much. Their Reds are back in action, not tonight, but tomorrow night against Houston. They're at home 7:10. The game, of course, right here on the home of the Reds, 700 WL. Doc Thompson at 700 WLW coming up at 11:06 this morning. Signs that it may be time for you to quit your job. Things that may warn you that it's time to quit your job. If you've got any suggestions, you can email me, doc at 700WLW.com. We'll take them live at 11:06. A couple of emails. One from Jason said, Doc, taxation is not stealing ever, unless you're an anarchist. To characterize it as such is unnecessarily inflammatory. Well, you are wrong, Jason. You are wrong. It is taxation, absolutely. We need taxation at times. We've got to pay for certain public services. There are things we need to pay for. The military, certain roads. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. But when you set out on a path to increase taxation and spending for the purpose of redistribution, that some people have too much because you covet what they have, that is stealing. And if you don't like me moralizing on it, then maybe you should contact MoveOn.org and tell them to stop moralizing and saying it is immoral if we actually cut and ask people to be responsible for themselves. Joshua, Northern Kentucky, you're on 700 WLW.
Hey, Doc, how are you doing this good morning?
I'm doing well, sir.
Yes, sir. I don't mean to, argue with you or not, because I'm not like that. I like you a lot. You're a good guy. I just wanted to back up that one caller, though, on the outsourcing of the aviation and all that. I just heard a minute of that because I just got in the vehicle. I'm an aircraft mechanic myself. I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I have a bachelor's in professional aeronautics, and I have my A&P license. And I have noticed, when I got out of the military, there was no jobs existence, even for me, and I had a pretty good resume. And I actually had to go back into the military to work aviation. So it's a pretty bad situation. A lot of the problems, with the aviation, with the aircraft maintenance, it has gone downhill. A lot of them were outsourced down to South America. And here's a fun fact for you. You might get a kick out of this. China makes all the avionics systems for our fighters. So we pretty much got I consider them a issue in the future, but yeah, they make the avionics system.
That's not real good for us, yeah.
It's pretty scary.
No, Joshua, and I'll take your word for it. You're somebody that has a little bit of expertise in this field. You understand this stuff. You tell me they're being outsourced, fine. My point with Bill was that Bill kept wanting to change the subject. He kept wanting, as I'd ask him about something, then he would jump on to something else. And then he would throw out these little generalities like probably being outsourced, and I just wanted to know where he got it. Does he have expertise in it? Has he read an article on it? Just share that information. As soon as I brought it up, then he wanted to shift it over to the air traffic controllers, which have nothing to do with the roof of the plane coming off.
Yes, that is true, too, because that was that guy's mistake. That's just like the air traffic controller down in Lexington back in 05, 06 when that airplane crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the air traffic controller's error. It was his fault, and he reaped what he sowed pretty much. And that's the same thing with this air traffic controller. You can't blame that on what he was saying. He was wrong there because it's two totally different fields of area. I mean, you're talking about baseball and football. Yeah, it's sports, it's aviation, but it's not the same aviation as maintenance.
Yeah,
that's where I was laughing at him about.
Yeah, and they have nothing to do with each other. I appreciate the call, Josh. Thank you so much. See, the point is, Bill was arguing this ideology instead of talking about the specifics. And if you want to argue the ideology about it, where they're outsourced, listen, I am not happy that America has outsourced all kinds of manufacturing. But you can't blame just the corporations. Yeah, they want to build products cheaper because you and I want to buy cheaper products. But there's another element to it. Manufacturing has also been hurt in America because of the rules and regulations where you can't simply buy up 10 acres and put a factory there because somebody complains that the tufted titmouse's environment that's his habitat. And if you build the factory, then the tufted titmouse or the fruit bat will go away. These are all components of it. To argue just one part like Bill, you're just arguing ideology and you're not being consistent. Stock Thompson, 700 WLW. All right, looks like the Republicans are proposing $4 trillion in cuts. $4 trillion over the next decade. The head of the House Budget Committee, Paul Ryan, says that President Obama is punting on the budget and not doing a thing to prevent the debt crisis. He's got a point there. The president's budget, the one that he just laid out, would increase over the next 10 years if it were enacted and if they followed it, if there weren't any changes, over $10 trillion in increased debt. That adds to the $14 trillion now. We've still got the interest to pay on it. We still got the other unfunded liabilities like Social Security, all of those payments that are going to come due as well. Problem is, Paul Ryan isn't being completely accurate. Yes, the president is punting. It's not even a punt. It's basically accepting failure by adding $10 trillion. The $4 trillion the Republicans want, not nearly enough. Not nearly enough. So although it's better, it's still not quite enough. The poll, The Hill has a new poll out. The Hill, the newspaper, it said that 41% of people surveyed said the Republicans had been more reasonable when it comes to cutting and the budget. 29% the Democrats had been more reasonable. 22% said neither party reasonable, and 7% not sure. So 41% said the Republicans were being more reasonable, 22% said neither, 29% the Democrats. Coming up right after the news, 10:33, we're going to talk to Jessie Ventura on 700 WLW, the home of the...